Welcome back to the Global English Lounge. I'm Mark, and I'm here with my co-host, Melissa. Today, we're diving into episode 7, and we've got something really practical for you. We're talking about those tricky workplace situations that, make us all a little nervous.
That's right, Mark. And I think every English learner has been there. Like you're in a meeting or talking to your boss, and suddenly you need to disagree with someone or ask for help, or maybe even address a problem. It's like your heart starts racing.
Exactly. And the challenge isn't just the English, it's knowing how to be polite and professional while still, actually getting your point across. I mean, we've all been there, right?
Right. So today we're going to share some real stories, give you specific phrases you can use, and even do a little role-playing to help you practice. Actually, Mark and I were just talking about this earlier. We both had some pretty awkward moments when we were starting out in our careers. Let's start with one of the most common situations, disagreeing with a colleague politely.
Oh, I remember this one time early in my career. I was in this client meeting and my manager suggested something that I knew was totally wrong, but I just sat there like a deer in headlights. I was thinking, do I speak up? Do I stay quiet? I ended up saying nothing, and, well, let's just say that project didn't go smoothly.
Oh no. Yeah, I totally get that. And you know what? I think that's actually a really important point for our listeners. Sometimes the cost of not speaking up is actually higher than the risk of speaking up politely. So let's give you the tools to do it right. By the way, the phrase to look like a deer in headlights means that you look very shocked.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. So, imagine you're in a team meeting and your colleague, Sarah, suggests an approach that you think won't work. Now, you can't just say, that's wrong or that's a bad idea. I mean, we've all had moments like this. But you have to be careful how you approach this.
Definitely. Instead, you want to use what we call softening language. Here's what you could say. That's an interesting point, Sarah. I wonder if we might also consider, or I see what you're saying, but I'm thinking we could approach it differently. Actually, let me give you another one. I love that idea. And what if we also tried...
Those are perfect examples, Melissa. Notice how you're not attacking the person or the idea directly. You're acknowledging their input first, then presenting your alternative. It's actually kind of like a compliment sandwich,
Exactly. Another great phrase is, I have a slightly different perspective on this. The word slightly makes it sound so much less confrontational. It's like you're not saying they're wrong, you're just saying, hey, I see it differently,
Actually, Melissa, let's try a quick example right now. So, imagine I just said, I think we should launch this product next month, and you disagree. What would you say?
Okay, so I might say, that's actually a really exciting timeline, Mark. I'm wondering, though, do we have all the pieces in place for a next month launch? Maybe we could explore what it would look like to maybe aim for the month after. See how I'm not saying no directly?
That's perfect. And you know what I love about that? You used wondering and maybe. Those are such great softening words. Plus, you turned it into a collaborative discussion rather than a disagreement. That's brilliant. Now, let's talk about another challenging situation. Asking your boss for help when you're struggling with a task. This can be really intimidating, especially if you're worried about, looking incompetent. We've all been there.
Oh, absolutely. I remember when I was starting out in the workplace, I used to just struggle silently because I was so afraid to ask for help. But that's actually worse for everyone. I mean, I'd spend hours trying to figure something out when a 5-minute conversation could have solved it.
Right, exactly. So here's how you can approach your manager. I'm working on the quarterly report and I want to make sure I'm on the right track. Could I get your input on the approach I'm taking? It's all about framing it as wanting to do good work, not as, I have no idea what I'm doing.
That's perfect. You're showing that you're being proactive and want to do good work. Another way to phrase it is, I'd appreciate your guidance on something. I'm not entirely sure about the best way to handle this situation. Actually, that phrase, I'd appreciate your guidance, it's like magic. Managers love feeling like mentors.
You know what, Melissa? I learned this the hard way. I once had a project where I was completely lost, like totally overwhelmed. And instead of asking for help, I just kept pretending I had it under control. Until my boss finally asked me directly, Mark, do you need support with this? And I was so relieved. She actually appreciated that I was honest about needing guidance.
Oh, that's so relatable. And you know what? Most managers would much rather you ask for help early than struggle in silence and potentially mess things up. It shows self awareness. Actually, here's another phrase our listeners can use. I want to make sure I'm meeting your expectations on this. It's perfect.
I love that phrase. I'd appreciate your guidance. It shows respect and makes the boss feel valued for their expertise. Plus, it's actually kind of flattering. Who doesn't like being asked for their wisdom?
Exactly. Now, let's role play a really tricky situation. Mark, let's say you're my colleague and you've been consistently late to our team meetings. I need to address this with you, but I want to stay professional and not create conflict. This is always awkward, right?
Okay, this is good practice for our listeners. Go ahead, Melissa. And listeners, pay attention to the specific language she uses. I'm actually a little nervous. Okay, I'm ready. Hit me with it.
Hey, Mark, do you have a minute to chat? I wanted to bring something up. I've noticed that we've been starting our key meetings a bit later recently, and I'm wondering if there might be something we can do to help everyone be there right at 9 a.m. Just to make sure we're all making the most of our time together.
Oh, you know what? You're absolutely right. I've been running into some traffic issues lately, but that's totally my responsibility to manage. Thanks for bringing it up so professionally. I actually really appreciate how you framed that.
Okay, so let me break down what just happened there for our listeners. First, I asked permission to have the conversation. Do you have a minute to chat? That gives the person a chance to say if it's a good time. Then I used I've noticed instead of you always, much less accusatory.
And you also made it about the team and the meetings, not about me personally. Like you didn't say, Mark, you're always late. You said, we've been starting meetings later. That's such a clever way to address the issue without making it feel like a personal attack. Plus that phrase, to help everyone, that made it sound collaborative.
Perfect. So, listeners, did you notice what I did there? I didn't say, you're always late or you're causing problems. Instead, I used phrases like, I've noticed and I'm wondering if. This approach is much less confrontational. Actually, you know what? Let me give you one more phrase that works really well. I wanted to touch base about.
Right. And you also made it about the team and the meetings, not about me personally. That's a really important technique. Focus on the impact, not on judging the person. It's like you're solving a problem together rather than pointing fingers?
Exactly. Now, let's talk about another situation that makes people nervous. Making requests, whether you need time off, want to work from home, or need additional resources for a project. I think we've all had those moments where we're like rehearsing in our heads before we ask.
Oh, yes. I remember the first time I had to ask for time off at a new job. I literally wrote out what I was going to say beforehand. I was so nervous about seeming unprofessional or, like I was asking for too much. But actually, the key is just being thoughtful about how you ask. The key here is to be clear about what you need, but also show that you've thought about the impact on the team. For example, I'd like to request next Friday off for a family commitment. I've already coordinated with Jenny to cover my client calls, and I'll make sure all my reports are submitted by Thursday. It's like you're solving the problem before it even becomes one.
That's so good. You're not just asking for something, you're showing that you're being responsible about it. Another useful phrase is, would it be possible to? This sounds much more polite than I need or I want. It's like you're opening a discussion rather than making a demand, you know?
Right. So instead of saying, I need to work from home tomorrow, you could say, would it be possible for me to work from home tomorrow? I have a home repair appointment, but I can be fully available for all our scheduled meetings. See how that sounds so much more collaborative? It's like you're asking permission, not telling them what you're doing.
And you know what? Let's give our listeners a few more examples because requests come in all shapes and sizes. Like if you need more resources for a project, you might say, I'm looking at the timeline for this project and I'm wondering if it would be possible to get some additional support to make sure we hit our deadline, rather than just, I need more people.
Perfect. Or if you want to propose a new idea, I've been thinking about our customer feedback process, and I'd love to explore the possibility of trying a new approach. Would you be open to discussing some options? You're not saying we should change everything. You're inviting collaboration.
Perfect. Now let's give our listeners some quick phrases they can memorize and use in these situations. Mark, want to start with some softening phrases for disagreeing? These are like your secret weapons.
Absolutely. Here are some great ones. I see your point. However, that's one way to look at it, but I appreciate that perspective, though I'm thinking you raise a good point, and I wonder if we could also consider, I actually keep these written down on my phone for those moments when my brain goes blank.
That's actually brilliant. And for asking for help or guidance, I'd value your input on, or could I get your thoughts on? I want to make sure I'm approaching this correctly. Or would you mind if I ran this by you? Oh, and here's one more. I'd love to get your perspective on this.
Perfect. And for making requests, would you say, would it be possible to? I was wondering if, is there any chance that I'd like to explore the possibility of, you know what? I was wondering if is probably my favorite because it sounds so casual and friendly.
Oh, and here's a pro tip for all our listeners. Tone of voice matters just as much as the words you choose. Like, even the perfect phrase can sound rude if you say it with the wrong tone. So practice saying these with a genuine, friendly voice. Maybe practice in the mirror? I know it sounds silly, but it really helps.
That's not silly at all. You know what else helps? Body language. Even if you're on a phone call or video call, sitting up straight and smiling while you talk actually changes how you sound. People can literally hear a smile in your voice. It's like your whole energy changes.
Those are all fantastic. Before we wrap up, I want to give our listeners one final tip. Practice these phrases at home first. Say them out loud, get comfortable with how they sound, because when you're in a stressful situation at work, you want these to feel natural. It's like muscle memory, you know? The more you practice, the more automatic it becomes.
That's such great advice, Melissa. And remember, most colleagues and managers actually appreciate directness when it's delivered politely. Don't be afraid to speak up. Just use these techniques to do it professionally. You know what? You're probably more prepared than you think you are.
And you know what? Even if you mess it up the first time, that's totally normal. We've all had those moments where we walk away thinking, oh, I wish I'd said that differently. But that's how we learn, right? Each conversation is practice for the next one. Well, that's a wrap for episode 7 of the Global English Lounge. We hope these tips help you navigate those tricky workplace conversations with confidence. And hey, let us know how it goes. We love hearing your success stories.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Keep practicing, keep learning, and remember, you've got this. We'll see you next time on the Global English Lounge. Until then, keep those conversations flowing.